welcome back for another video. My name is Josh Kasich, and today I'll tell you is my Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings spoiler review. And, well, if you have not seen the film yet and want to watch the film, I don't know why you clicked on this video when spoilers are clearly in the title. But if you have clicked this video, I'll give 10 seconds for you to leave the video, alright? 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9 1,000, 10 1,000. Alright. Well, you have been warned. If you have not leave the video yet, it's your fault. Alright? Now, without further ado, let's begin with the story. Alright, well, first, I kind of explained in the first, non-spoiler review that I saw this, movie today on September 6th of Labor Day. And so, that's kind of, so I just recently watched this movie like a few minutes ago. So, but yeah, so I'm excited to talk about the story, alright? So we kind of get introduced to the backstory of the Mandarin, which apparently isn't his actual name. That was just made up for the terrorist Trevor character from the Iron Man 3, which is Trevor does actually make a cameo in this movie. I expect that was going to happen. I am glad it happened because after the the Marvel one shot All Hail the King, where we see Trevor in the prison and then get rescued by not rescued, but taken out of the prison by one of the real Mandarin's goons. So yeah, so it's pretty definitely interesting for that aspect. Now, the narration of the Mandarin is actually by the Mandarin's wife, who eventually becomes his wife. But in particular, he's been taking over governments and ruling the planet for centuries, and because of the Ten Rings, where they have kind of sustained his life, so he never ages or whatever, and so that's why he's still young doesn't look like he has aged since the present, and so it's kind of like that idea. Now the rings in this movie are very different from the comic books, if you know about the comic book rings, but they usually go on the fingers, and they each have their power of their own, while these are more of a combat style where he kind of he can make blasts with them, and then kind of use kind of like a whip, create a whip with them and stuff like that. So there, and then there's also he makes kind of like a shield at one point as well. We really get to see all of that play out. But then he goes to a village. Sorry about that. I was cut off. Where was I? Oh yes, I was talking about the village where the Mandarin's wife comes from, and that is called Ta Lo. Now, in the story, originally the Mandarin wanted, or his real name Shu Winwu, all he wanted was power, and that's what he got. But he realized he was missing something, and discovers that there's this village called Ta Lo through a mystical power and creatures and all that, and he wanted to go there. So he had his men and him go in a vehicle, and they go through this forest trying to find this village. Well, it turns out this forest is like a maze that moves around, and it kind of crushes the car, or whoever, or Winwu uses the rings to get out of the car, while the car kind of falls off the cliff. And he walks through the forest and discovers this girl named Yang Li there, a warrior or protector of the village. And they do combat, and this is the first time he loses. She wins, and then he kind of comes back, and they get to know each other and even fall in love. And she leaves the village and leaves the power she has gained, because that's how she beat the Mandarin, with the power given by the village. And then they had 2 children, Shang-Chi Shu Shang-Chi, and then Shu Shaling, and the younger sister. And we discover at some then kind of we see the boy kind of with his mother, and his mother is actually narrating the story for her son, and then gives him a necklace of her that from her, and that's kind of which actually gets into the plot later. And then we have a time jump where Shang-Chi is older, going by name Shu, and he's in America, and he's a bus boy, essentially, where they kind of someone drives like in fancy places, someone drives up their fancy car and they go drive it somewhere to park, essentially. But then his friend Katie, they go take the car for a joyride. And stuff like that. So, and then the next sequence is them kind of meeting two friends that are married, and they talk and stuff like that. And then they kind of after night, like midnight, they go karaoke, which actually is supposed to be a funny point later in the post-credit scene. But then at the next day, he visits her house, and we get to see her entire family. And then they go on this bus, and then it turns out one of his father's minions are on there, and it leads into this whole combat situation with a guy with a kind of machete for a hand, and that kind of cuts like it's heated, so it could pretty much cut through anything, and the whole combat. But obviously, Shang-Chi wins and defeats all of them. And then they kind of go back to his place where he has to go find his sister, and then basically Katie, not knowing that he's actually firing his true name, they go into battle. She wants to know the story behind them, and they go take a plane to find his sister because he thought he had a postcard and everything from his sister. And on the way there, he tells her his story about being after his mother died or whatever. As a young boy, his father trained him to be a deadly assassin, while his sister kind of trained by herself, or whatever. And he had to go on a mission to kill a guy, and this point we find out later that he lied about this story, but he said he couldn't go through with it by killing this person, and kind of leaves and lives in America for several years, where he meets Katie and everything, and that's kind of how it is. And then they go find a sister, which apparently has a underground black kind of lab, the black web. I don't know why I said lab, black web. Kind of where they film these videos for the black web, and where people vote and stuff. And we get to see Wong versus Abomination for some real reason. I don't really get that, but yeah, they kind of leave after the end of the fight. Wong wins by basically when the Abomination goes for a punch, he opens two rings, or two portals where the Abomination hand goes through, and then out the other end punches himself really hard. So, and then they kind of after the fight, they both leave through one of Wong's portals, which interesting. But then Shang-Chi is forced into a battle, and he gets to battle his sister. And his sister apparently owns this place, and she won. Basically, she left when she was 16 because she wanted to create her own empire or whatever, and that's what she did here. But then it turns out she didn't give the postcard to him. It was actually their father, and wanting them to be both in the same place, and they were trying to get their necklaces or whatever. Actually, in the bus fight, the guy with the machete for a hand actually was able to steal the necklace. I forgot to mention that. And then they both get, but there's this huge battle scene where they get captured by, his father and his minions or whatever. And they go back to his place to stay, his dojo and everything. And basically tells them, they kind of have a dinner, and then he shows them after the dinner that basically I've been studying the mother, that I've been hearing this voices like his mother's been there, his wife has been talking to her that she's still alive and that she's been captured by the village and being put inside this gate or whatever. And so, but it's not really true at all. He's just hearing things and stuff. And but basically he figures out a way into the village. He takes the two kind of jewels and puts them on this dragon thing, and then water comes out of the wall, creating a field of these trees, that kind of showing a map that every once in a while there's a path that leads straight to the village. Well, they refuse. Shang-Chi and his sister Shang-Ling refuse to listen to him, and they try to stop him, and they go put into jail, where they meet Trevor Lattery, the guy who pretended to be the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. And so it's kind of interesting. And this guy has like a pet. I forgot the name of the pet, but it's actually from the village of Talo, brought back by their mother, Yang. And so we get this whole sequence where they actually break out of the prison with Trevor. They take a vehicle, huge combat. They figure out this creature can actually take them through the maze of the trees, and they go there, and they actually do make it through the maze, where they're greeted by the village, who try to immediately attack them because they're unwelcome visitors. But it turns out their aunt is there and stops them, and then they go talk, and they learn about the village. Apparently years ago this village was created because there's these demon creatures that steal souls or whatever that attack this city, because Talo is actually really huge, as far as the eye can see, with huge cities and stuff like that. But these creatures attacked all the cities and stuff like that. And there's also a bunch of creatures here, like dragon horses and firebirds and stuff like that. So pretty much a lot of interesting stuff here. There's even like a actually, like in kind of Chinese, you have those like lion type things on like usually like pedestals and stuff like that, like where like entrance gates and stuff, where there's like they're actually real creatures in this place and stuff like that. So that's pretty interesting. And the aunt tells them about the story of the village, about trying to attack these creatures, and they figured that the dragon, their protector, the great dragon, which their mother told them about, basically helped them defeat these creatures and lock them up in a gate. And then they've been protecting this gate for years, and that they have the power to kind of whisper to the people out there to show them their most desires, so that they can come in this place and open the gate so they can be finally free. And this time it's their father, and he's hearing voices of his dead wife and stuff like that. So that's kind of what's going on. Well, we find here that we also, during this sequence, we also learn about what happened to his mother. See, when they fell in love, they decided that he gave up the 10 rings, or their father will give up the wings, so they can have a happy life together and all that type of stuff. But then his past comes to haunt him while he is away. These goons come, and she protected her children, but unfortunately she was killed by them. And the father came back, he put back on the rings, turned back to the way he used to be, and wanted to kill these guys, and he killed everyone but the leader. But it turns out that the leader wasn't there, and he's been looking for the leader. But eventually he does find the leader of these goons, and he actually has his son go and try to execute this guy. Hence that mission earlier I talked about, and it turns out that we eventually get more about this story, where now Katie learns archery, but as well, and but Shang-Chi learns some combat from his aunt to finally learn how how his mother was able to defeat their father at one point in time. But he gets a lesson that he is both his father and mother, and he needs to use both techniques to fully beat his father. And then he tells at night he tells Katie about the truth that he did murder the guy that killed his mother instead of lying that he didn't. But whole sequence. And when he left, it was actually 10 years later, and his sister originally was not happy with him because he told her that he would be back in 3 days, but he actually left years, and this is why she was kind of mistreated by their father, and that's why she escaped to run her own empire and everything. That I forgot that is an important plot, but she still cares about her brother, and they do care about each other anyway, so they don't actually become enemies or anyway. So it's kind of very interesting. But they do help out the village, and then his father show up with his goons, and they have a huge brawl. But his father kind of gets to see the shrine of his wife that his sister-in-law created. But then Shang-Chi goes and tries to battle him, but then he gets drowned into the water and the Mandarin starts going to the gate and starts opening, and these creatures coming out stealing people's souls so they could give it to their master and so it could break out. But then the Mandarin's goon decides after one of them, their souls being stolen, decides to join the groups to defeat these creatures and everything. And Shang-Chi is still in the water, but then he is awakened by this dragon, that protector, and they go out and do battle, destroying creatures while everyone else is doing battle and everything. And then he goes and battles his father, but then the creature breaks out. Basically a huge battle scene where Shang-Chi actually takes 5 of the rings, and then takes all 10, but then was going to do a whole like fireball looking thing like Dragon Ball Z, even though I really don't care about Dragon Ball Z, to blast, but then gives up the rings and throws them, and then the creature comes out, and basically his father takes the rings, and they try to, but the creature took his father, and his father basically at the last minute, like, okay, I do care about my family, and gives the rings to his son, and he dies. There goes the Mandarin, the true Mandarin. And then, then the creature gets stronger, and the dragon comes out with, the sister gets on the dragon to save Shang-Chi from this creature, and a huge battle sequence between the creature, but then the other smaller creatures kept giving it souls, and getting even stronger, and to the point where it almost took the soul of the dragon and everything, but, basically the Katie shoots an arrow at the neck of this creature, and it actually escapes. The dragon was able to escape, and a huge more battle sequence but where Shang-Chi uses the rings launches it at the creature and kind of makes the things go straight through the creature, and then pulls it out, destroying the creature, them winning the day. And then they go back and refix things and see all the dead. And then at night they kind of they do kind of a ceremony for the dead, for their father, and the rest of the people that lost their lives here. And they launch the kind of these lamp things into the water, where the dragon kind of surrounds it, swimming in the water, and then kind of goes away. And then that's pretty much then the last part is them, and then this kind of shows Katie and kind of Shang-Chi kind of bracing each other's necks, and they're laying on each other. I'm like, come on, dude, just ask the girl out already. That's what I'm saying. Go. But then the last sequence is that they go visit their where's that in the post-credit scene? But no, I think that's where the film ends actually. And then where they're kind of there, and then there's the post-credit scene, or not mid-credit scene, where they're visiting their friends again, talk about exactly what happened, everything, and then Wong shows up, tells them about they asked him if he has the rings, and they go through, and then we see Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel kind of not actually there, but they're like kind of a projection, like they're like a hologram stuff, and they're talking about the rings, and that they're actually like alien tech or whatever that brought here for 1,000 years, and that they're giving out a signal to whoever created them. And this is going to be a huge event for a later movie where that these creatures or whoever these aliens are going to come and try to get the rings and battle or whatever. It's kind of like that thing where, but then the funny bit at the end of this post-credit scene is that they kind of go, Wong tells them they should go get some rest, but instead Wong and them go karaokeing, which is really funny. It's like a really funny sequence there that, you know, reference to later in the actual film. And that's pretty much it. And then the post-credit scene is of his sister. Now, oh, I forgot, in the mid-credit scene it says that his sister is taking down the entire empire, destroying it. But it actually turns on the post-credit scene that she's actually taking over, becoming the new Mandarin, and actually having both men and women train this time in combat and stuff, instead of just being men, because apparently the father had problems with training women or whatever. And then there's all kind of graffiti all over the walls and stuff like that she created, like showing that she's in charge, and we're not going to be this whole old style or whatever, we're going to be modern and all that type of stuff. So that's it was kind of funny and interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much the entire film. And I have to say, I love the story, the writing was brilliant, the backstories to all the characters I enjoy, and the characters themselves I enjoy as well, the personalities and everything like that. It's just a bunch of fun, a lot of cool combat, just everything really good about this film. Definitely way better than Black Widow. Marvel is back finally, and hopefully they will continue like this film with more good films, and just forget about the whole Black Widow film. Hopefully we'll have no more films like the Black Widow movie. I'm really hoping. But yeah, so that's kind of all my thoughts, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you're new, subscribe to the notification bell so you're notified for my next upload. My YouTube channel, website link, my Twitter, my Snapchat, and Instagram are all in the description as always. And thank you. Goodbye.